Colorado Springs shooting at an LGBTQ nightclub. The nightclub's called Q, if I'm not mistaken. And this happened last night. 5 people are dead, and this is the latest news from Colorado, coming from the Colorado Times Recorder. 5 people are dead and at least 18 are wounded following a mass shooting at Club Q in Colorado Springs, according to Colorado Springs Police Department. Club Q is one of the Colorado Springs' oldest LGBTQ nightclubs, and it regularly hosts drag shows and community events. According to Lieutenant Pamela Castro, the CSPD public information officer, the first calls regarding the shooting at the club came at 11:56 p.m. on November 19th, last night. CSPD arrived at 12 a.m., and the suspect, identified as 22-year-old Anderson Lee Aldrich, was taken into custody at 12:02. The reason why the apprehension was very quick was because patrons actually stopped the shooter. They lunged at him and they stopped him, is what I heard from original reports. We know 1 or more patrons heroically intervened to subdue the suspect, and we praise those individuals who did so because their actions clearly saved lives, said the Colorado Springs Mayor John Suthers. In a statement posted to Facebook, Club Q wrote, "Club Q is devastated by the senseless attack on our community. Our prayers and thoughts are with all the victims and their families and friends. We thank the quick reactions of our heroic customers that subdued the gunman and ended this hate attack." This is, of course, if you're familiar with mass shootings in the United States of America, how a lot of mass shootings actually end up being stopped. Oftentimes, it's not police intervention, but intervention from the immediate people, brave people that throw themselves and their lives and their bodies at the problem and are able to subdue, not with guns, mind you, but with their hands. Club Q is a safe haven for our LGBTQ citizens. Said CSPD Chief Adrian Vasquez. Every citizen has the right to feel safe and secure in our city, to go about our beautiful city without fear or being harmed or treated poorly. I'm so terribly saddened and heartbroken. Okay. Vasquez cautioned that the investigation is still in its early stages and noted the FBI is already on the scene and assisting with the investigation. We are also working to identify the victims who have died and notify their families. Vasquez reported that at least 2 firearms were found on the scene and that a long rifle was used in the shooting. Also not very surprising. On June 18th, Aldrich was involved in a bomb threat on the Lorson Ranch neighborhood, according to a news release from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. The reporting party said her son was threatening to cause harm with a homemade bomb, multiple weapons, and ammunition. The reporting party was not in the home at the time when she made the call and was not sure where her son was. Deputies responded to the home after further investigation, realized the suspect, Anderson Lee Aldrich, date of birth, 05/20/2000, was in the whatever. This is like insane amount of information and detail. Local news goes crazy with this shit. Deputies evacuated the neighborhood, and over an hour later, Aldrich surrendered. According to the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, the regional explosives unit cleared both homes and did not find any explosive devices. Though Aldrich was charged with 2 counts of felony menacing and 3 counts of first-degree kidnapping, the Colorado Springs Gazette reported that no formal charges were pursued in this case, which has since been sealed, according to the DA's office. If I were a gambling man, I would like to know if the FBI tried to use this person as a CI. I don't know. It's probably not the case, but this is a lot more detail than what I knew about when I first read on the story. Why? Why does a dude with this kind of history have access to fucking weapons? Well, of course, of course it's going to happen, The FBI is going to come out and be like, we were aware of the suspect, That's the FBI was on our radar, is incoming, okay? Hot. Coming in hot. Just expect it. It always comes. Always there. Oh, shit, we knew about this guy. Fuck. Oh, thanks, man. Thanks, FBI. That's very cool. I love when mass shooting, people that engage in mass shootings are on your radar. It's so sick to know that. I love FBI's radar. It's so fat. It's so beautiful. Okay? Anyway, Michael Allen, the 4th Judicial District Attorney who declined the charge Aldrich in 2021, expressed sympathy for the victims and their families, said this is a tragic day for our community and we stand in solidarity with the victims and their family members as we make sense out of a senseless crime. He said every person, regardless of who they are, has the right to be secure from fear and physical harm. Actions taken to strike fear in specific communities will not be tolerated in our community. This is particularly true for communities that might have been maligned, harassed, and targeted by persons or groups to intimidate the cause harm to members of those communities. According to Allen, Aldrich is the only suspect at this time. So this is the guy. Same guy. Suspect arrested in connection to bomb threat that forced evacuations in Lorson Ranch neighborhood is the same guy who ended up, committing a mass shooting at the one of the oldest gay bars in Colorado Springs, which is otherwise a very right-wing conservative town, conservative neighborhood. Okay. Club Q shooting comes after more than a year of conservative politicians and commentators demonizing the LGBTQ community, holding increasingly violent protests against drag events. This summer, Representative Dave Williams and Representative Mark Baisley raised concerns about groomers at Highland Ranch drag show. Lauren Boebert, who in June said, "The left is grooming our kids," tweeted this morning, "The news out of Colorado Springs is absolutely awful. The mourning the victims and their families are in my prayers." Clearly, it's a massive leap to assume that a person who threatened violence and was not punished or shown any type of blowback would ever act on it or feel enabled. Of course not. We would never say that. No one would ever say that. Just like we would never say that constantly saying that like gay people are trying to fuck your children, they're trying to groom your children, they're trying to groom your children by just being gay, would ever create some of the most unhinged psychopaths who are going to act out on like violent desires to feel emboldened by, and give them the additional motivation that they needed to finally fulfill that kind of insane desire. We would never say that. I would never say that, just like I would never say that if you fucking were arrested for some crazy shit ahead of time in the past and let go without any sort of scrutiny, additional scrutiny, that you would feel a little emboldened. So. So yeah. Hours after a mass shooting in Colorado at an LGBTQ bar, Chaya Raichik, by the way, libs of TikTok, that fucking gigantic piece of shit, decided to double down and go after a Colorado organization that does drag. This is exactly what she wants. Mass violence against LGBTQ people. She is a terrorist. I 100% agree with this, by the way. Like, I cannot co-sign this harder. Like, she is. Libs of TikTok is 1,000,000% the most brain broken. Like, her and Matt Walsh are so fucking insane. And the fact that they like are allowed to just keep whipping up anger and inciting anger towards LGBT people is psychotic to me. I don't know if like this person in particular, this mass shooter in particular, was like a Libs of TikTok fan, but I don't care. Because she wants people like that to keep doing this shit. Like, that's her motivation. There can be no other motivation for this kind of behavior. She is so psychotically obsessed with the existence of, like, gay people and queer people in general and trans people that, like, that's all she fucking posts about. Like I said, we don't have additional information. This is new stuff. I didn't even know they released the name of the shooter and like the fact that he was arrested before. I did not know that. But Representative-elect Stephanie Vigil, who defeated Colorado Springs Councilor Dave Donaldson, who campaigned on his anti-LGBTQ stance, expressed shock but not surprised at the news of the shooting. "I'm just furious," she said. "I don't know how many times we have to say that the hate speech and bigotry have consequences. I feel like a number of us have said in this community over the last few years in particular that it's just a matter of time. Right here in our own city, the things that people say that dehumanize others in our community tend to lead violence. It's not even the first time. So yeah, Anderson Lee Aldrich, 22, is now in custody and is currently being treated at a local hospital. He had previously been arrested for making a homemade bomb. Yeah, exactly. He was on our fucking radar, baby. Always. The FBI's radar is so nice. FBI does not have Libs of TikTok on its radar. The FBI does not have Matt Walsh on their radar. The FBI does have these guys on their radar all the time. And then they still end up doing shit. Makes you think, how many motherfuckers are on the radar? You? No, look, I don't like talking about this too much, but I've gotten, never mind. I'm not going to say anything. Okay. No, I've gotten the fucking, this person's on our radar call before. Okay. That's all I'm going to say. I know what it's like to be on the other side of this. Not like I'm on their radar, but like, hey, someone on our radar. And I'll tell you, it's just weird. It's just literally, they're just like, yeah, there's nothing we can do. So I know from firsthand experience what it's like when the FBI is like, hey, listen, here's our radar. So yeah, so this is these are the details we know of right now. This is the person who wrote that article, by the way. Lauren Boebert coming out and like saying thoughts and prayers is weird. I'll say it. Like, I don't even know at this stage. It's setting the stage for a pretty classic story we've heard time and time again. It could be stochastic terrorism, right? Like fucking psycho right-winger guy finally acts out on his violent desires and violent urges after being stead a healthy diet of insane, psychotic, anti-trans, anti-queer, bullshit from everywhere around. And Lauren Boebert coming out and even speaking out on it is odd. She says, the news out of Colorado Springs is absolutely awful. This morning, the victims and their families are in my prayers. The lawless violence needs to end and end quickly. Yeah, right. She's right. Lawless violence. Bitch, you're responsible. Like, you're personally responsible for lawless violence on your own. Even if we don't cover the anti-LGBT element here, okay? Even if, let's say, this was a lover's quarrel or something like that, we don't know, right? I'm not saying that that's the case. The most likely scenario is that it's not. The most likely scenario is that it's, probably an instance of domestic terror, even though we don't have all the details yet, okay? So even if you eliminate that part of the conversation, okay, even if you eliminate the domestic terror element from this, okay, well, then you're also a psychotic fucking gun nut. This guy was arrested for a bomb threat. And he was still able to fucking easily find a gun, even if he didn't purchase it himself. Okay? So you're doubly culpable in that regard. After Trump elevated anti-immigrant and anti-Latino rhetoric, we had the deadliest anti-Latino shooting in modern history. After anti-Asian hate with COVID in Atlanta, Tree of Life, Emmanuel AME with Buffalo, and now after an anti-LGBTQ campaign, Colorado Springs, connect the dots to GOP. I mean, if it comes out that this person is like, oh God, the reason why I don't the reason why I don't think we should rush on this narrative, even though it does seem to be the case, is because, like, one, these kinds of takes, unfortunately, never work. Like, people just don't give a shit, right? They don't want to recognize their culpability. They want to continue doing, they want to continue doing bigoted, agitated propaganda to whip up their audiences. And then also on top of that, like, I mean, they're fucking demons on the one side. And also on the other side, like, if it turns out that it's not the case, they use it forever. They're like, they literally will constantly bring it back. It's so frustrating. Even though there is like a direct connection, you know what I mean? Here's an eyewitness account with no TOS in the video.
I was dancing on the dance floor. I heard shots fired. I thought it was the music because there were no screams. There was no help, nothing like that. Then there were more shots. When I realized what was going on, I ran to the dressing room immediately. There was a customer that followed me, and there was a drag performer, Delusional, who was in the dressing room. I made them lock the doors, and we got down on the ground and cut off the lights immediately. We heard everything. We heard more shots fired. We heard the assailant being beat up by someone that I assumed that tackled him. We heard the police come in. We heard them yelling at him. We heard them saying check certain people because they're critical. We heard everything, and all I can think about is everything. My life. Just everything. Friends, family, loved ones. I came here to celebrate my birthday. Honestly, I was supposed to be in Denver, but I came back a day early, and like, it's sad.
Joshua, what does this mean for the LGBTQ community here in Colorado Springs, this shooting?
It's hard to say. It means so much because this is our only safe space here in the Springs. And so for this to get shot up, like, what are we going to do now? Where are we going to go? Yeah, we can rebuild and come together and this, but what about those people that lost their lives for no reason? Like the other 18 that were injured. I could have been one of them. Like, it means a lot because, again, what are we going to do now? How are we going to feel safe in our city?
This was your safe space.
Yeah, this was the only LGBTQIA plus space in the entire city of Colorado Springs. It's won awards in Independent Magazine. I got my start here. Like, so many of my friends I met here and people that I call loved ones, and now it's shattered.
Yeah. The point is that the point of terrorism, not saying that this is an act of terror. We don't have all the details yet. But the point of terrorism is to make people feel less safe in their everyday conditions. That's why I say, regardless of whether or not this was a fucking hate crime, and it does seem like it might be, okay? Regardless of that, though, like, the goal of people like Libs of TikTok is to do that. It is mind-boggling that, like, you have an institution that is so openly and so brazenly doing that. Like, you have and the guy who owns Twitter is like fucking communicating with them like last week. Boston Children's Hospital was targeted by bomb threats, by the way, for 2 days in a row, including directed threats of the homes of doctors who worked there. Billboard Chris decided to spend all week doubling down, attacking BCH. This is what they want. Hey, girls, Boston Children's Hospital has some tips on how to bind your breasts. The mayor of Boston says, I'm a white supremacist for tweeting out these videos. And the mainstream media calls me alt-right, fascist, and a stochastic terrorist. If I'm all these terrible things, what are the butchers doing this to? Why are the butchers doing this to children? Once again, I just got to repeat, I'm going to lighten the mood here a little bit, but, repeating the same thing. Canada, build the wall, okay? Build a border wall. Snow Mexico, no more, okay? Either they're fucking the best, They're either sending their best or their absolute fucking worst. Okay, this is an example of their absolute fucking worst. The Hasan Piker Canada doctrine stands. It is mind-boggling to me. Canada either sends like best artists, best people, or their absolute fucking worst. We need to make sure that we have a system where we ensure the best artists are coming in, but not these fucking right-wing wannabe American yee motherfuckers, okay? I feel like if you just shut off immigration from Alberta, you would most likely, eliminate the root cause of the problem, okay? I'm not pointing any fingers, but yes, I am. Sorry to the Albertans who are stuck there with all these yee motherfuckers, but goddamn, dude. Or honestly, it's not even that. It's not even that. You know what you need to do? No pundits. That's it. No more pundits, no more political writers, none of that. I know some good Canadian political writers and pundits are going to get caught in the crossfire here, but honestly, like, it's a fucking, it's a step I'm willing to take, okay? Oh, he's from Vancouver, British Columbia. See, you can't tell. Anyway, these people like Libs of TikTok, Matt Walsh, Tucker Carlson, Christopher Rufo, who spent all year stoking and inciting violence against LGBTQ people. When the violence happens, they deny it, minimize it, and double down on the hate. They're sick, twisted sociopaths. 100%. Shia Raycheck, owner of Libs of TikTok, is easily responsible for dozens, if not hundreds, of LGBTQ deaths at this point. And Elon Musk just a week ago left them a positive reply. How much longer is she, a terrorist, going to have a platform? How much longer do we have to say that family and friends accepting trans people significantly reduces suicide rates? How much longer do we have to prove that we're just people? How much longer will be forced to live in fear to be ourselves? Yeah. It's, I don't know. I mean, these things are going to keep happening. Is this possible? Someone needs to take the approach SPLC Center took against the KKK, whether it's SPL Center itself or an LGBTQIA specific group, mass lawsuits until hate groups, until A, they're spending their time in court rather than propagandizing, and B, financially radioactive. And there's plenty of legal approaches. Almost all these bigots are breaking various civil laws against libel, slander, and other forms of defamation. If there's any civil laws against harassment somewhere, those two, their organized civil side of RICO could work, etc., etc. One other legal approach that can and should be used is forcing a wedge between the haters and their cop allies. All LGBTQIA people and establishments who should get restraining orders and gun violence protection orders where they exist against their local hate mongers. And if the cops refuse to enforce them, as they likely will, include them in the lawsuit for civil rights violations, etc. And another thing, start suing people who host the bigots, advertise their stuff, drive wedges between them and their capitalist backers too. Yeah, I mean, that's one way of working within the system, I think. When you have nothing else that you can do, when there are no like adequate legal protections for you that's codified and institutionalized, you got to use what you can. You got to make do. You know? Make it where bigots are a whole lot less comfortable to do hatred as a career and drive so many wedges between them and their coalition partners, cops, capitalists, both sizing media, and the people that have to make the decision between hate and their wallets, reputations, etc. The thing is, like, people will say, like, oh, dude, like, I know, I'm sure there are people rushing, like, aching, waiting for more information to come out, but, like, specifically so they can just, like, fucking shit on people to say, like, well, how, or looking for the defense brigade to say, like, how is this in any way related to anti-LGBT violence that we've been promoting? If you think in your naive heart that like a single Republican is going to look back at this and go, oh man, we really fucked up here. Maybe we should stop. You know, maybe we should fucking stop doing this anti-LGBT shit. You are wrong. Not going to happen. It didn't even happen after they went on that anti-LGBT crusade so fucking hard that they got like actual electoral consequences. You know what I mean? Tragically, 300 Americans die of fentanyl poisoning every day in America, and Biden says and does nothing. Tragically, 5 people were killed in a shooting in Colorado, and Biden immediately demands a ban on assault weapons. Oh my God. Oh, what a fucking monster, dude. The problem with fentanyl is that the treatment is harder to come by because of the criminal component. The problem with guns is that it's completely unrestricted. Okay? No regulation whatsoever. There's regulation around fentanyl that unironically prevents people from getting the adequate treatment. But then there's no regulation around guns that allows everyone to go and purchase one with ease. I lived in Colorado Springs for years and went to many friends with the Club Q where the shooting took place. The only person to blame here is the mentally ill person who chose to murder innocent people. Stop politicizing tragedy and allow these families to grieve, you sick bastards. Of course, she's a fucking Babylon Bee writer, so it's not very surprising that she would come out of the gate swinging and saying, the shooter was arrested for bomb threats and kidnapping last year. Is this still Tucker Carlson's fault, or should we be angry that the police routinely do not do enough to stop known mentally ill people in advance? Shame on you, Keith Edwards. Like, you can fucking be mad at the police as well simultaneously. You know what I mean? Like, oh, this guy was like individually mentally ill. I wonder where he like got the idea to kill gay people. You know what I mean? Also, like, what do you mean? Like a known mentally ill person? Oh, okay, got it. I guess lock up. Listen, you got a fucking prescription, dude. You got depression. You got a prescription. Are you? Do you have schizophrenic tendencies? Jail. Sorry, that's what we're doing going forward. Precog, baby. Great stuff, dude. Great way to deal with this issue. It's so crazy. Like the moment that the fucking details are released, like the moment details start being released, they're like, all right, this is a mental illness. This is a case of mental illness, guys. You already know it. Anyway, apparently the DA's office is a toxic workplace as well. Like the same DA that let this kid go or let this dude go originally. Also, one of the first actions was to hire the DA that failed to charge the Elijah McClain murders and charge the Aurora BLM protesters, which were later dismissed by John Kellner. Holy fuck, this guy is so awful. My suspicion that the DA is friends with the family or this kid is connected to the local politicians is looking more solid. And for the crying reply, guys, the DA of El Paso County is a hardcore Republican. Like, dude, the fucking same DA that let this kid go. Wait, so what? The same DA that let this fucking kid go originally after the bomb threat and kidnapping charges was also the same guy that refused to. Michael Allen takes the reins in the 4th Judicial District. Newly elected Judicial District Attorney was sworn in January 12th, term limited at 12 years. Allen's main priority will be to carry out the district's basic duties. No, wait. This kid was arrested originally when? Why does he look 12? This is the typical conservative, bro. Have you never seen these motherfuckers like Harlan Hill? They look 70 and 17 at the same time. You can't, like, depending on the fucking lighting, depending on what angle and what lighting you're looking at, is like, you're always like, is this guy 40 or is he 14? Like, what's happening right now? Boss baby looking motherfuckers, dude. I swear to God. Straight up, always, dude. It's like, just, you know, inbreeding shit. El Paso County is so far right. They tried to get a COVID-19 anti-vaxxer as the county coroner. The county coroner ran on anti-vax. Yeah, we were talking about this before. When I found out that like county coroners don't actually have to have any sort of medical. Okay, I found out about this when people started writing me for county coroner all around the country as a joke. And then I found out that like you can be a county coroner because that position is more political, I guess, and has nothing to do with like actual medical. You don't have to have any sort of like medical qualifications or background or anything like that. And yes, that apparently a lot of anti-vaxxers were trying to run for county coroner positions so they could, make sure that the COVID deaths were not it would track this COVID deaths. That's how fucking psychotic this country is, okay? But also, it's yet another reason why I always fucking say, vote in your local elections, okay? Your local elections fucking matter, all right? It's also another reason why I say at the top of the hour, there's a 6-second ad break, and if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe. You vote in your local elections, so you make sure you don't get an anti-vaxxer county coroner, and you subscribe so you don't see an ad at the top of the fucking hour. Okay? Because at the top of the hour, there's an ad break. 60 seconds for now, but it's slated to increase. Come December 1st, it might. Okay? For $5 or for free, you can avoid them. The ads. Or you can get gifted a sub if you're lucky. Here's the 1-minute ad break now. It's only 15 seconds. Give fuck. Dude, I actually don't want you to see that ad. I don't care. Like that's not a own on me. That's good. Why would I? He said get fucked. Like, oh yeah, I really want you to not see the stream, dude. What are you, crazy? Like my whole fucking goal is to make this as like decent a time for you as possible. Anyway. So, yeah, that is the Colorado Springs DA's office is weird. There's some weirdness there. I want to know more about. I would like to know more about like what took place in the prior arrest, because the person who did the shooting had a prior arrest. But yes, as is the case all around the country, Republicans. As is the case all around the country, Republicans have run on like an anti-trans narrative over and over again, saying that like drag story hour is a plight, a stain, it's killing kids, it's grooming kids, all this shit. Bro, this is my community. It's horrible here to say the least. Focus on the family and the church run everything. Yeah. Last year, we've seen a concerted effort to demonize LGBTQ people as groomers or worse. CSPD has not released a motive for last night's shooting, but for queer people, it seems like a natural consequence of the political environment. Politicians have used trans people in particular as a kind of political football, a wedge issue to generate steam for their red wave, to advocate for pushing us out of public life and denying us health care. It was part of the Republican gubernatorial primaries where the governor candidates attacked trans people and abortion in Colorado. People, including elected officials, have used public comment at school board meetings to say awful things about LGBTQ people for the last 2 years. There were candidates in this past cycle who repeated this absolute nonsense to fearmonger and demonize LGBTQ people. It happened in Tulsa as well. If you remember, there was a Tulsa donut shop where like drag events have happened, where a dude threw a Molotov cocktail inside of a Tulsa donut shop recently. And the Proud Boys are usually the people that are pushing this wherever they have, wherever they have like chapters and shit. Patriot Front tried to do this in Idaho. Remember Patriot Front? Those fucking dildos who always dress up the same too. So individual hate crimes against trans people and queer people in general is happening all the time. Against trans and queer institutions is happening all the fucking time in this country. And they are like the people who do these sorts of attacks and shit all around the country oftentimes are just they feel emboldened to do such things. They feel like they have a lot of allies if they were to do such violent things. Okay? So, Oak, what is this? Oh, a cop in Idaho shot a student, on accident during a drill. It's sad that the right are pushing these so-called agendas and literally couldn't give a fuck less about their own points. They're just pushing it to get votes. Meanwhile, real people are dying because of the right narrative that gay and trans are bad. Yeah. So, AOC came out of the gate swinging. Said, Lauren Boebert, you played a major role in elevating anti-LGBTQ hate rhetoric and anti-trans lies while spending your time in Congress blocking even the most common sense gun safety laws. You don't get the thoughts and prayers your way out of this. Look inward and change. Yeah, she's right. Oh, Indiana, not Idaho. Sorry. Indiana, Idaho, same shit. But she's not going to do that. She's not going to look inward and change because she's a fucking freak. But as of now, that's all the information that we have on this. I'm closing that. I don't want to fucking look at that. There was only like 3 dozen people, but there was a white pride parade downtown with like full black sun flags and everything. Yeah. Idaho is potato. Indiana is corn. Not the same. Any more drama from Qatar? No. That's what we got. Like I said, we don't know all of the details yet about the shooter, but we now know what his name is. We now know that patrons stopped the shooter, but 5 are dead and 18 are injured in the shooting at the gay nightclub in Colorado Springs, and that the lone suspect Anderson Lee Aldrich, 22, was on the FBI's radar. At this time, the Colorado courts does not have any public records available under the name Anderson Lee Aldrich. Related to this weekend shooting in Colorado Springs or any other matter in Colorado. This is a fucking right-wing guy. They're probably going to be hitting the cops and the DA pretty hard, for the record. They will see this as like an opportunity to like shift the attention away. Colorado Springs shooter last year was out walking around free after this, I guess. Friday around 2 p.m., deputies with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office responded to reports of a bomb threat on Rubicon Drive on Lorson Ranch neighborhood, just south of the Colorado Springs airport. Suspect was 21-year-old Anderson Lee Aldrich, who refused to comply with deputies' orders to surrender. It was reported to the sheriff's office that he had a homemade bomb, multiple weapons, and ammunition. A tactical support unit, which includes the regional explosives unit, was called in. Around 10 homes were evacuated in the surrounding area, while an emergency text notification was sent out to the homes within a quarter-mile radius of the address. The regional explosive units cleared both homes, did not find any explosive devices. Around 6 p.m., the suspect was taken into custody and has been booked in the El Paso County Jail. Aldrich faces 2 counts of felony menacing and 3 counts of first-degree kidnapping. But they got nothing out of that. Nothing came of that because because there were no fucking bombs. The deputies responded to the home and further investigation realized the suspect was, on 6300 Pilgrimage Block, and they evacuated and, they sent text messages out, but there's no further details on it. Kidnapping is because one of his relatives actually called it in. But again, yeah, his mom called it in. Details on this from last year. This is from last year. Remember, this was posted on 6:38 p.m. on June 18th, 2021. This is from last year. So last year, his mom called in a bomb threat saying that this dude had a homemade bomb, and the cops came in. They evacuated everybody, and they cleared it. They said they didn't find anything. They said they didn't find a bomb. They still put some charges on him to bring him in, but then they were all dropped by this weird fucking right-wing DA. Okay, this psychotic right-wing DA that has also the psychotic DA that refused to charge the murderers of Elijah McClain. Originally, if you remember, Elijah McClain was a neurodivergent black teenager who was murdered as police officers held him on the ground for 15 minutes, and he was clearly in distress while restrained, sobbing and repeatedly saying, "I can't breathe," vomiting several times, and apologizing profusely during that entire course of events, saying, "I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to do that. I can't breathe correctly," while his arms were handcuffed behind his back. There was a carotid control hold, which intentionally cuts off blood flow to the brain by compressing the carotid arteries in the neck, rendering McClain briefly unconscious. One of the cops that arrested him said he would have his police dog bite McClain as he laid handcuffed and pinned on the ground. His last words were, according to the body camera footage, yes, he had a mental disability. I mean, he was neurodivergent. Yes, I think he autistic. I can't remember. But he said, I can't breathe. I have my ID right here. My name is Elijah McClain. That's my house. I was just going home. I'm an introvert, just different. That's all. I'm so sorry. I have no gun. I don't do that stuff. I don't do any fighting. Why are you attacking me? I don't even kill flies. I don't eat meat, but I don't judge people. I don't judge people who do eat meat. Forgive me. All I was trying to do was become better. I will do it. I will do anything. Sacrifice my identity. I'll do it. You're all phenomenal. You are all beautiful, and I love you. Try to forgive me. I'm a mood Gemini. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Ow, that really hurt. You're all very strong. Teamwork makes the dream work. And then he throws up and he says, oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to do that. I just can't breathe correctly. There was some, there's a lot that happened on top of that. Like there were some investigations conducted on the EMTs as well, that when the EMS arrived on scene, McClain was already cuffed and restrained on the ground. And there's a lot. They gave him ketamine, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I'm like looking it up. I can't remember all the details because this happens all the time. The attorney for McClain's family said that the medics had no right or reason to inject Elijah with ketamine and asked for an investigation. They went back and took the three officers were fired because they went back and took photos as they mocked the death of Elijah McClain, the 23-year-old massage therapist who died several days after officers put him in a chokehold last summer. Yeah. There it is. Officers Erica Marrero, Kyle Dittrich, and Jaron Jones grinning in selfies they took last October near a memorial they had set up in Mr. McClain's memory. Another photo showed Officer Dittrich smiling widely as Officer Jones wraps his arm around his neck. Takes it back, haha, according to Chief Wilson. Officer Rosenblatt, who has been with the department for 3 years, was fired on Friday along with Officers Marrero and Dittrich. Officer Jones resigned on Tuesday. But yeah, on the way to the hospital, Mr. McClain went into cardiac arrest and he died 3 days later. Okay. So, you know, people with disabilities are disproportionately targeted in situations like this, especially if their disability renders them nonverbal in any capacity, especially in police altercations. So, yeah, when they held a vigil for Elijah and had violinists, okay. They had violinists play. They tear gassed the shit out of us, including kids. Yeah, cops came to the vigil and tear gassed them to disperse the vigil. Here's the thing, man. I mean, this is what happens when you have no repercussions. And that same DA is a part of this entire process, you know? What does this have to do with the shooting? We're talking about DAs in Colorado, police in Colorado. It's a different part of Colorado, but this kid Anderson Lee Aldridge, this fucking shooter from last night, literally was arrested after his mom in 2021 called the fucking cops and told them, yo, like, my son has like a bomb. And there was this bomb threat, and they held him for charges which the DA dropped later. There's no court records of his there's not even like any there's no court records on Anderson Lee Aldridge according to Colorado. According to the Colorado records. There were there's no records for last night in Colorado. No, they were saying there's never been records for Anderson Lee Aldridge because they were sealed. Which I don't know why they were, considering he was 21 when the first charges happened. Like, that's really weird that like a 21-year-old's like homemade bomb charges and kidnapping of family members charges are just fucking sealed. You know, people are coming in now with like further information. Who's Anderson Lee Aldridge? Suspect in Colorado nightclub shooting had previous major run-in with the police. Police received reports from Aldridge's mother. Again, like I said, Aldridge's mother called the cops on June 18th, 2021, stating that he was threatening to cause harm to her with a homemade bomb, multiple weapons, and ammunition. According to the El Paso Sheriff's Department, his mother, who police did not identify by name, told authorities she was not sure where her son was. Police investigated and discovered he was holed up inside a nearby home. They contacted Aldridge by phone, but he refused to surrender. Officers were eventually able to get Aldridge to comply. However, he walked out of the home and into police custody. Officers searched both the mother's home and the home Aldridge had been in, but found no evidence of explosives. Aldridge was charged with 2 counts of felony menacing, 3 counts of first-degree kidnapping for the incident, and the El Paso Sheriff's Officer, which handled his arrest, did not release a mugshot from the incident and did not immediately respond to inquiries from Fox News Digital. Aldridge has now been taken into custody for the shooting at Club Q. Colorado Springs is super right-wing, and the police are just right-wing in general. That is just the truth, okay? For those of you who don't know, cops are very, very, very right-wing. Colorado Springs is also an incredibly right-wing area in Colorado. So, we will find out. We will find more soon. Isn't that just black or white thinking? Isn't there more to it? On what? I mean, mass shootings are both incredibly complicated, but sometimes very easy to analyze. You know what I mean? There are really, really easy things that you can pick apart. You can look at a country with no mass shootings or very little mass shootings, and then look at a country with a lot of mass shootings like the United States of America, and realize very quickly that the one component there is ease and availability and access to weapons, an arsenal. That is... that's the main component. That's the primary component, right? That's pretty simple. Now, dealing with that is hard. How do you regulate? How do you regulate with the way that our Congress works? How do you regulate with the with the way that like legislators refuse to regulate anything meaningful, put any sort of meaningful checks on weapons. As far as cops being right wing, that's not up for debate. According to Police Magazine in 2016, 87% of the police force said that they would vote for Donald Trump on a survey. The 87% of the law enforcement officer community said they would vote for Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton. And on top of that, I think there was like 7% or something that said that they would vote for Gary Johnson. So, which is ironic because we're talking libertarians there, libertarian cops. You know, cops have historically been very, very reactionary. I mean, there's anecdotal evidence that you can point to as well, but like, you know, have you met a cop ever? Talked to a cop ever? Are you familiar with how policing works as an institution in this country? It's always shocking. People don't ever look at cops from the lens of politics. I don't know why. They think they're like public servants when they're not, when they don't behave that way. And it is strange. I try not to talk to cops. I mean, there's going to come a time in your life where you're going to have to talk to cops, brother, okay? You've probably lived a very fortunate life if you've been able to avoid cops this entire time. I have not been able to. I am not as fortunate as you are, okay? Not like I'm seeking out cops and being like, hey, let's have a conversation. Like, what the fuck? And I'm a pretty privileged person, too, but like, goddamn.